And we are live and recording, something I didn't do last time. I am hoping that the upstream is acceptable. I forgot to even check that. So hello and welcome to I don't know what my internet is doing today. Ooh. Let's see if I need to get any other invites going. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay. Upload speed is good. Not a lot of chatter. Hello, Quill. Welcome, and come on in. It's good to have you here. I am mixing the swamp sounds with the thunder sounds. And I need to make sure that Minecraft is at 100%. I really need to figure out how to get YouTube and Twitch to take a much louder volume. And I'm going to take a second to blow my nose. It would help if I unmuted. How's the audio this evening? Are we still able to hear the crickets and the frogs, the crackling fire, the thunder, and apparently the ocean shore? I forgot to turn that off. Maybe it's a good combination. Perfect balance. That's good to know. Thank you, thank you. And we're gonna dive right in and figure out where we left off, because by golly, if it's not been a hot minute. And I actually don't play on this file, on this game, unless I'm doing the first 15 to 30 minutes of stream. Hello, Saren. Welcome on in, and come on in, and welcome you. And my stuff is still in the little makeshift trash bin from 5 days ago. Yes. So, we'll be doing hangout, chat, chill, comfy, really relaxing vibes in my opinion. I love relaxing with you all. It's so nice. And we'll do that for another 11 and a half minutes while we mentally prep for story time. A book really? Did that really happen? My trash can apparently is situated in such a way that I bonk my head on it on the way downstairs and pick up the items. Oh, that's unfortunate. Alright, well, let's fix that since we're here. Oh, man, that's embarrassing. That doesn't look good. Just gonna... Ooh, broke already, huh? Yeah, that was a little bit, whoops. Alright, let's put this back in place. And let's see, we want a trash can, but we don't want interference. So we'll just do that here. Is that low enough? Alright. Probably. Bep, bep, bep. Alright, that's a trash can now, isn't it? I feel like the sky's gonna crack open pretty soon. Something tells me. Something's really foreboding. Probably that rumbling in the distance. The sky's gonna crack open. And I'm gonna be underground when it happens. Because you know me. I love the underground. I have half a bone pickaxe. I'll take this other bone pickaxe. I will put this 12 sulfur into the purifier. Oh, hey, 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 hold on. Here we go. Where's it happening? There it is. Cracked right open, I think. Yeah, it's nighttime, but cracked right open. Crickety crack, crock, crick, crack. All right. So, tell me things. Tell me one or two good things about your day, Quill. And Sarah, if you are still within auditory distance, tell me the same. I would like to hear from the both of you. Working on a cool painting. Awesome. I love that. I am looking forward to engaging in the act of viewing said painting, should you be so desirous to share it. So, that's awesome. I love that. Paintings for the win. Hello, Andrina. Good to have you here. I shall pose the same question to you. Tell me at least one or two good things that you would say are worthy of being discussed this evening. You're going to do a large jigsaw piece in the middle with a scene inside of it. Ooh. That sounds like you had a bit of inspiration. And that bit of inspiration is taking hold in a most wondrous manner. I love it. It sounds like you're diving into the piece and like making your idea come to life. I really like that. That's good. You're bringing it out of the mind and into the corporeal, and that makes me happy. So, good on you. Oh, I have not filled my buckets with water. We should do that while we're down in the abyss. Or the game could freeze. The game is frozen. Puzzles are cool. I agree with you all. I mean you. Your in-laws love doing puzzles. We need to get your in-laws a puzzle that is just the color white. Hear me out. Will they love puzzles after? And have I just caused a problem? You have threatened it. Oh no. You're like, I see you enjoy something. Here, have something that is also related, but is also going to piss you the F off. Sorry. Ooh, foggy. I love the fog sounds. It sounds like people are crying in the distance. Not that that's a good thing, but, you know. You may do. Well, you can blame me if ever one of them comes up to you and says, Saren, I no longer enjoy puzzles. Thanks. Then you can say, you can thank that one story guy. You once did a puzzle that was just a giant plate of beans. Quill. No, you. I love beans. I love beans. I love baked beans. I love refried beans. I will never endorse puzzle beans. Ever. No, you can't. Oh gosh, it's getting foggier. Wow. No beans here. Maybe puzzle beans. Jeez, dude. puzzle beanery. End result, you threw it across the room, never to be seen again. It's the only one you ever... Oh, never finished. Dude. Dude. No. That's not allowed. Oh my goodness. Y'all are too much. I need to check something. Andrina, can you hear me? Andrina. Not enough. Andrina, tell me one thing that you would consider of today to be good. By the way, you don't have to. You can say no thanks. That's also a valid answer. Loud and clear. Good. Loud and clear in this abyss. Gosh, it's so dark in here. I don't know where I'm going. Plans for the weekend. Well, today is my Saturday. Yesterday was my work Friday. So my plans are probably Flash Revolution, pretending that I'm thinking about writing, and more story time. It's spooky noises. So, yes, plans for the weekend. Lunch, shopping, and writing. Oh my gosh, that sounds like a mixture of both relaxing and, like, rejuvenating. Like, honestly. That sounds awesome, and I love it. Tattoo consult? What? Yes? It's 50-50. Okay. Yes? It's your boy. Oh my gosh, I'm excited, Saren. 50. Yeah, no, I pretended. I was falsifying my reaction by pretending that you meant 50-50 for the consult. My mother is a sock. Ooh, spooky noises, and we have 2 minutes. I better get out of here. Hey, there he is. Hey, buddy. Hi. Hey. Don't. Nope. Okay. Hey. Okay. All right. Safe. Okay. Quill, I am excited for the writing, painting, poem, writing, painting, and working out. Even if you don't know, good on ya. Tattoo! Yes? Oh, no. Winging it is good, like that creature I just slaughtered. It had wings. Oh, that's a creepy sound. Alright. Okay. Alright, now that you hear me tap dancing on these stairs, tap dancing, I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to feeding myself and going outside. Ooh, it's daytime-ish. Alright, and game mode. Creative. We should find a nice place for story time. Sorry, I'm just way too excited. I just... Any hoopst. I'm not sorry, really. That's... Sorry is for the Canadians to be. Shots fired. Got him. Alright, let's go over to this, throws maples. Yes. Let's go over to these overarching roots and stare at the crack in the sky. while we get ready for story time. Wow, gosh, that was a solid 15 minutes of the best hanging out we've ever done. Thank you all for being here. I'm very appreciative. I'm very pleased. And I'm happy to tell you that we're on chapter 26 because the last session I forgot to hit the record button, so this much of the book is no longer on YouTube. It was an exclusive stream, so good for y'all who didn't be there. Chapter 26 of Philip Pullman's Fairy Tales from the Brothers Grimm. Magic. Snow White. We're going to read Snow White. And Dumb. Yeah. So 26, Snow White. Let's get going. Oh my gosh. I love the first 3 words of the story. It's One Winter's Day. And the best part about it is that in a song by a certain symphonic metal band, they might have said something like one something winter's night. But anywho, let's go. One winter's day, when the snowflakes were falling like feathers, a queen sat sewing at her window, which had a frame of the blackest ebony. She opened the window to look up at the sky, and as she did so she pricked her finger, and 3 drops of blood fell into the snow on the window-sill. The red and the white looked so beautiful together that she said to herself, "I wish I had a child as white as snow, as red as blood, and as black as the wood in the window frame." And soon afterwards she had a little daughter, and she was as white as snow, and as red as blood, and as black as ebony. So they called her Little Snow White. As soon as the baby was born, the queen died. A year later, the king married another wife. She was a beautiful woman, but she was proud and arrogant, and she couldn't bear to think that anyone was more beautiful than she was. She had a magic mirror, and every morning she used to stand in front of it and gaze at her reflection and say, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who in this land is the fairest of all?" And the mirror would reply, "Your Majesty, you are the fairest of all." She was satisfied then, because she knew that the mirror could only tell the truth. But meanwhile Snow White was growing up. When she was 7 years old, she was as lovely as a spring day, and even more beautiful, in fact, than the queen. So one day when the queen asked her mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who in this land is the fairest of all?" the mirror answered, "Your Majesty, you are still lovely, it's true, but Snow White is 1,000 times fairer than you." Immediately the queen took fright. Envy churned in her bowels, and her flawless complexion took on a sickly yellow-green. From that moment on, she only had to look at Snow White to feel her heart tightening with malice. Her envy and pride grew strong like a weed in her soul, and she felt no peace by day or by night. Finally she called one of the king's huntsmen and said to him, "Take that child deep into the woods. I never want to set eyes on her again. Make sure she's dead, and bring me her lungs and liver as proof." The huntsman did as she ordered. When he had taken Snow White far into the heart of the forest, he took out his knife, and was about to thrust it into her innocent heart when she began to cry, "Oh, please, dear huntsman, spare my life. I'll run away into the wild woods and never come home again, I promise." She was so beautiful that the huntsman took pity on her and said, "You poor child, go on then, run away. The wild beasts will eat her soon in any case," he thought, but knowing that he wouldn't have to kill her was like feeling a heavy weight lifting from his heart. Just then a young boar came running through the bushes. The huntsman killed it and cut out its lungs and liver, and took them back to the queen as proof of Snow White's death. The cook was ordered to season them well, dredge them up in flour, and fry them, and the wicked queen ate them all up. And that, she thought, was the end of Snow White. Kentucky Fried Chicken. But meanwhile, Snow White was alone in the great forest with no idea what to do or where to go. She looked all around, but nothing she could see among the leaves and the bushes was any help. She was frightened, and she began to run, ignoring the sharp stones and the brambles and the small animals that leapt at her. She ran, and just as the light was fading and the evening was near, she saw a little cottage. She knocked, but there was no one at home, so she went inside, hoping to rest. Everything in the house was small, but very neat and clean. There was a pot of stew by the fire, and a little table covered with a snowy white tablecloth, on which stood 7 little bowls, with a slice of bread beside each one, and 7 little knives and forks and spoons, and 7 little mugs. Upstairs there were 7 little beds, all standing in a row, all neatly made with snowy white linen, and a little table beside each bed with a little glass and a little toothbrush. Snow White was very hungry and thirsty, so she ate some stew from the pot, and took a bite of each slice of bread and a sip of wine from each mug. And then she realized how tired she was, so she lay down on one of the beds. But it was too big. And she tried another, but it was too short. But the 7th one was just right. So she said her prayers, as all good children do, and lay down and closed her eyes and was asleep in a moment. Presently, when it was dark, the owners of the cottage came home. They were 7 dwarves, and they earned their living by mining for precious ore under the mountains. They came in and lit their lanterns, and then they saw that the things were not as they had left them.
Someone's been sitting in my chair. Someone's been eating from my bowl.
There's a bite of my bread, look!
The ladle's been used. Someone's eating some stew.
And they've used my knife!
And they've used my fork. And they've drunk from my mug.
They looked at each other with wide eyes. Then they all looked up at the ceiling, and they all tiptoed upstairs, and they all looked at their beds and whispered, "Someone's tried my bed."
And mine. And mine. And mine. And mine.
And mine.
Oh, look!
The 7th dwarf had found Snow White asleep. They all tiptoed and looked at her in wonder. The lantern light shone over her face on the snowy white pillow. Good heavens! What a beautiful child!
Who can she be? We can't wake her up. She's fast asleep.
What a lovely face. I wonder where she came from.
It's a mystery, brothers, a deep mystery. Come back downstairs. We must discuss what to do.
They tiptoed back downstairs and sat around the table.
She looks exhausted, poor thing. Better not wake her up. The morning'll be soon enough for that. Maybe she's escaping from a witch. Fool, there's no such thing as witches.
I think she's an angel.
And so she might be, but she's in my bed, and where am I going to sleep?
The other 6 agreed to let the 7th one share their beds. An hour each throughout the night, and so they went to sleep. Good night, Quill. I look forward to hearing your responses to the rest of the story after you have seen it on the YouTubes. Which, by the way, I'll probably have to link in one of these streams. Take care, Quill. Just push the beds together. Well, Andrina, sometimes you can't. No other explanation. Let's go. When Snow White woke up in the morning and found the 7 dwarves all looking at her, they'd woken up and got dressed already, she was alarmed. Don't be frightened, miss.
We're friendly enough.
Not pretty, maybe.
But we won't do you any harm.
That's a promise!
You're safe here. What's your name, my dear?
I'm called Snow White, she said. They asked where she came from, how she'd found her way to their cottage, and so on. She told them how her stepmother had tried to kill her, and how the huntsman had spared her life, and how she'd run in panic through the bushes and the brambles till she found their cottage. The dwarves withdrew to the corner of the room and whispered together, and then came back and said, "If you'll keep house for us,
Sweep and clean, you know, all that. And cook. Don't forget cooking. Yes, and cook and make the beds.
and wash the linens,
And sew and knit and darn our socks.
then you can stay with us, my dear, and you shall have everything you want." "Oh, I'll do that with all my heart," said Snow White. So they agreed on that, and Snow White began to keep house for them. Every morning they tramped off to the mountain to dig for gold and copper and silver, and when they came back in the evening their dinner was ready for them, and the cottage was neat and clean, and everything was in order. During the day, of course, Snow White was all alone, and the dwarves warned her, "Be careful, that stepmother of yours will be looking for you once she finds out you're alive. Don't let anyone in." Once the queen had eaten the liver and lungs that she thought were Snow White's, she wasn't afraid to look in her magic mirror again and say, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who in this land is the fairest of all?" But she got a terrible shock when the mirror answered, "Your Majesty, you are still lovely, it's true, but far, far away in the forest so deep, where she lives with the dwarves since they found her asleep, Snow White is 1,000 times fairer than you." The queen recoiled with horror, for she knew the mirror couldn't lie, and she realized that the huntsman must have deceived her. Snow White was still alive. All her thoughts circled around one question: how could she kill Snow White? If she, the queen, wasn't the most beautiful woman in the whole country, she knew her envy would torment her day and night. At last she thought of a plan. She made up her face carefully and disguised herself as his old peddler, so skillfully that she knew no one would recognize her. She made her way to the house of the 7 dwarves, and when they were at work down under the mountain, she knocked on the door. Snow White was making the beds. She heard the knock and opened an upstairs window. "Good day," she called down. "What are you selling?" "Fine laces and pretty ribbons," the queen called up. "Would you like to see what I have, my dear? Here's a lovely one. Look!" She pulled out a lace made of braided silk. Snow White thought it was very pretty indeed, and surely this old woman had an honest face. It must be safe to let her in. She ran down and unbolted the door and looked at the lace. "Would you like to try it?" said the peddler woman. "Dear me, child, you need looking after. Come here, sweetie, let me do up your bodice with this pretty lace." Snow White stood there, not suspecting a thing, while the old woman threaded the lace through and through her bodice, and then pulled and pulled and pulled so tight that Snow White couldn't breathe. The poor girl's eyes fluttered, and her lips moved, and then she fell down. Senseless. Jeez, I'm getting struck by lightning over here. I guess it's raining, so let's go listen to that rain. "You're not so beautiful now you're dead," muttered the old woman, and hurried away. Soon afterwards the dwarves came home because the day was ending. When they saw Snow White lying there not breathing, they were terrified. They picked her up and then realized what was causing the trouble, and quickly they cut through the lace so she could breathe. Little by little she came back to life and told them what had happened. "Well, you know who that peddler woman was, don't you?"
It was the wicked queen. Couldn't have been anyone else.
"Don't let her in again, whatever you do."
Take care, Snow White. Oh, do take care. Remember now, be on your guard. Don't let anyone in.
Meanwhile, the queen was hurrying home. As soon as she was safe in her boudoir, she asked the mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who in this land is the fairest of all?" And the mirror answered, "Your Majesty, you are still lovely, it's true, but they cut through the lace with a sharp little knife, and they brought their Snow White back to life, and she's still 1,000 times lovelier than you." When the queen heard that, her heart gave a sickening lurch, and squeezed her blood so hard she thought her eyes would burst. "Still alive, still alive. We'll see about that," she said. She won't be alive for long, I promise." The queen understood the art of witchcraft, and she crushed some rare herbs while saying a spell, and then dipped a pretty comb in the herb juice. It was deadly poison. With the aid of a little more magic, she changed her appearance entirely, so she didn't look at all like the previous old woman, and set off to the dwarf's cottage. She knocked on the door and called out, "Pretty knickknacks for sale, combs and pins and mirrors, pretty trinkets for pretty girls." Snow White looked out of the upstairs window and answered, "I can't let you in, I'm not allowed. You'd better go away." "That's all right, sweetheart," said the old woman. "I won't step over the threshold. I'm sure no one would mind if you took a look, though. What about this lovely comb here? Look." It was very pretty, and Snow White thought it would do no harm just to look. She ran down and opened the door. "Oh, such lovely hair," said the old woman. "So black and so rich and shiny, but oh, a terrible tangle. When did you last brush it properly, sweetheart? Don't they look after you here?" She was running her fingers through Snow White's hair as she spoke. "Let me just tease out a tangle or two with this pretty comb. You like it, don't you? I can see. Come here, darling." Snow White obediently bent her head, and the old woman dug the comb into her scalp so viciously the poor girl fell straight down without even a cry. "That's done for you, missy. Let's see how lovely you are when you start to rot," said the queen, and she hurried away before the dwarves came home. Luckily it was almost evening, and not long after the wicked queen left Snow White lying there, the dwarves came home and found her. "Snow White, what's happened?"
Is she breathing? That wicked queen again.
"What's that stuck in her hair?"
Pull it out, quick.
"Mind, it'll be poisoned."
Careful, careful.
They wrapped a handkerchief around the comb and pulled it delicately out, and almost at once Snow White sighed and opened her eyes. "Oh, dwarves, I'm so stupid. She didn't look at all like she did before, and I thought it would be all right." They told her it would only be all right if she kept her wits about her and did as they told her. You stupid princess. She mustn't open the door for anyone. The queen hurried back and threw off her disguise before standing in front of the magic mirror. She said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who in this land is the fairest of all?" And the mirror answered, "Your Majesty, you are still lovely, it's true, but as soon as you'd gone, the good dwarfs arrived home, and with care and with caution they took out the comb, and Snow White is alive and far lovelier than you." That made the queen stagger and clutch the wall. The blood drained out of her face, leaving it a dirty white with patches of yellow and green. Then she drew herself up to her full height, and sparks flew out of her eyes. "Snow White shall die!" she cried. She went into her most private room and locked the door behind her. No one was allowed in there, not even the servants. Then, with the help of a book of spells and several little dark bottles, she set about making a poisoned apple. It was white on one side and rosy red on the other. Anyone who saw it would want to take a bite, but before they did even just the tiniest nibble, they would fall down dead at once. Then the queen disguised herself a third time, put the apple in her pocket, and set off for the dwarf's cottage. She knocked on the door, and Snow White looked out of the window. "I can't let anyone in," she said. "I'm not allowed." "That's all right, my dear," said the queen, who looked like an old peasant. "I just wondered if you'd like an apple. I've had such a crop this year I don't know what to do with them all." "No, I'm not supposed to take anything," said Snow White. "Oh, what a pity," said the old woman. "They taste so good, too. Look, I'll take a bite in case you're worried." She had made the apple so cunningly that only the red half was poisoned. Of course, she took a bite from the white half and then held it out to Snow White. It looked so delicious that the poor girl couldn't resist. She reached out through the window, took the apple, and bit deeply into the red part, and she'd hardly bitten off a piece when she fell to the floor dead. The wicked queen leaned in and saw her lying on the floor, and she laughed a loud laugh. "White as snow, red as blood, black as ebony, and now dead as a doornail. Those little monkeys won't wake you up this time! Ha ha ha!" When she got back to her boudoir, she asked the mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who in this land is the fairest of all?" And the mirror answered, "Your Majesty, you are the finest of all." She sighed a deep and happy sigh of satisfaction. If an envious heart can be at rest, hers was then. When the dwarfs came home that evening, they found Snow White on the floor, stark and still. She wasn't breathing, her eyes were closed, she wasn't moving at all. She was dead. They looked around for whatever might have killed her, and found nothing. They unfastened her laces in case she couldn't breathe. They looked through her hair for a poisoned comb. They warmed her by the fire. They put a drop of brandy on her lips. They laid her on a bed, and they sat her up in a chair, but nothing helped. Then it struck home to them that she must really be dead, and they laid her out gently on a bier and sat beside her weeping for 3 days. They had intended to bury her, but she still looked so fresh and beautiful, just as if she was only sleeping, that they couldn't bring themselves to put her under the black earth. So they had a glass coffin made and laid her inside. With letters of gold they wrote "Princess Snow White" on it, and they carried it up to a mountain top. From then on, one of the dwarves stayed beside her all the time. They took it in turns to watch over her, and the birds came and mourned for her as well. First an owl, then a raven, and finally a dove. And so things remained for a long, long time. The body of Snow White did not decay, for she still looked as white as snow, as red as blood, and as black as ebony. One day a prince happened to be hunting in the forest. "Hello, ducks. Welcome on in. Good to have you here." And he came to the dwarf's house and asked for shelter for the night. Next morning he saw the sunlight glitter on the mountain top and went to see what was there. He found the glass coffin, he read the golden inscription, and he saw the body of Snow White. He said to the dwarves, "Let me take the coffin away with me. I'll pay you as much as you want." "We don't want money," they said. "We wouldn't sell that coffin for all the money in the world." "Then please give it to me," he begged. "I've fallen in love with Princess Snow White, and I can't live without being able to see her. I'll treat her with all the honor and respect I'd feel for a living princess." The dwarves went away a little and spoke together quietly. Then they came back and said they'd taken pity on him, and they were sure he'd treat their dear Snow White properly, so he could take her back to his kingdom. Yeah, not creepy at all, Indrina. Yikes. The prince thanked them and told his servants to pick up the coffin with great care and carry it along with him. But as they were going down the mountainside, one of the servants tripped and stumbled and shook the coffin, and that dislodged the piece of apple from Snow White's throat, for she had never quite swallowed it. And slowly she woke up, and then she pushed open the lid of the coffin and sat up fully alive once more. "Dear God, where am I?" she said. The prince said joyfully, "You're with me!" He told her everything that had happened, and then said, "I love you more than anything else in the world. Come with me to my father's castle and become my wife." Snow White loved him at once, and their wedding was arranged with great splendor and magnificence. Among the guests invited to the ceremony was Snow White's wicked stepmother. After putting on the most beautiful of her dresses, she stood in front of the magic mirror and said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who in this land is the fairest of all?" And the mirror answered, "Your Majesty, you are still lovely, it's true, but the young queen's 1,000 times fairer than you." The queen gasped with horror. She was so frightened, so terrified, that she didn't know what to do. Thank you, Andrina. Yes. She didn't want to go to the wedding, and she didn't want to stay away, and yet she felt she had to go and see the young queen, so, in the end, she went. And when she saw Snow White, she recognized her at once and was struck with horror. She could only stand there trembling. But a pair of iron shoes had already been placed in the fire. What? When they were red hot, they were brought out with tongs and placed on the floor, and the wicked queen was made to step into them and dance till she fell down dead. The end. Okay. Okay. I haven't heard that version of the story in a long time. I forgot about it. Wow. Here, wear these almost molten iron fittings on your feet and dance, so that your skin and tendons and muscles melt away until you're bones only, and then by sepsis, you die. Congrats! Or whatever happens when feet are no longer all they are. Jeez, dude. Alright. Chapter 27, I guess. This is the story of Rumpelstiltskin. It's always Miller's. Why is it Miller's? There was once a poor miller who had a beautiful daughter. One day he happened to fall into conversation with the king, and in order to impress him he said, "You know, your majesty, I have a daughter who can spin straw into gold." The king said to the miller, "I like the sound of that. If your daughter is as clever as you say, bring her to the castle tomorrow, and we'll see what she can do." When the girl was brought to him, he took her to a room that was filled with straw right up to the ceiling. He gave her a spinning wheel and several spools and said, "There you are. Work all day and night, and if you haven't spun all this straw into gold by tomorrow morning, you'll be put to death." Then he himself locked the door, and she was left there all alone. The poor girl sat there with no idea of what to do. Of course, she couldn't spin straw into gold, and the longer she sat there, the more frightened she became. And finally, she began to cry. Then suddenly the door opened, and in came a little man. "Good day, Miss Miller, and what are you blubbering for?" "I'm supposed to spin this straw into gold, and I don't know how to do it, and if I don't, they're going to kill me." "Oh, well, what will you give me if I do it for you?" "My necklace?" "Let's have a look at it." He peered at the necklace and nodded and put it in his pocket, and then he sat down at the spinning wheel. He set to work so fast she could hardly see his hands. Whir, 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 went the wheel, and the first spool was full. He put another one on, and whir, 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 and that one was full too. It went on like that till morning, and then all the straw was spun, and all the spools were filled with gold. Then the little man left without another word. At sunrise the king came and unlocked the door. He was pleased to see all that gold, and a bit surprised, too, that the miller's daughter had managed to do it. But it wasn't enough for him, so he took her to another room, even larger, that was filled with straw like the first one. "Spin all this in one night, or you'll lose your life," he said, and locked the door. Once again the poor girl began to cry, and once again the door opened, and there was the little man. "What will you give me if I spin all this into gold for you?" "The ring from my finger?" "Let's have a look at it." He squinted at it and put it in his pocket. Then he began to spin. The wheel went whir, whir, whir all night long, and by morning all the straw was turned into gold. The king was even more delighted, but he still hadn't had enough gold. He took the miller's daughter to an even larger room filled with straw like the others and said, "Spin this into gold and I'll make you my wife." He was thinking, she's only a miller's daughter, but I'll never find a richer wife in all the world. When the girl was alone, the little man opened the door a third time. "What will you give me?" "I've got nothing left." "Then you've got to promise me that when you're queen, you'll give me your first child." Well, who can tell what'll happen in the future, she thought. Had she promised the little man what he asked for? He set to work, and by the morning all the straw had been spun into gold, and when the king saw it, he kept his promise, and the miller's lovely daughter became the queen. A year later she brought a beautiful child into the world. She'd put the little man out of her mind, but all of a sudden there he was. "Now you must give me what you promised," he said. "Oh, no! No, please, anything but that. I'll give you all the wealth in the kingdom." "What would I want that for, when I can spin gold for straw? I want a living baby, that's what I want." The queen began to cry and weep so much that the little man felt sorry for her. "All right, I'll give you 3 days," he said. "You find out what my name is in 3 days, and you can keep your child." The queen sat up all night trying to remember every name she'd ever heard. She sent a messenger into the town to ask for any unusual names and wrote down everything he came back with. When the little man returned, she began, "Is it Casper? No, that's not my name. Is it Melchior? No, that's not my name. Is it Balthazar? No, that's not my name." She went on through all the names the messenger brought back, and each time the little man said, "No, that's not my name." The second day she sent the messenger out into the country. There must be some strange names out there, she thought, and there were. When the little man came back, she tried them out. "Is it Pickle Burster? No, that's not my name. Is it Hanky Dank? No, that's not my name. Is it McMustard Plaster?" But he always answered, "No, that's not my name." She was getting desperate. On the third day, though, the messenger came back with a stranger tale. "I haven't heard any more names of the sort I found yesterday, your majesty, but when I was near the top of the mountain in the thickest part of the forest, I saw a little house. There was a fire burning in front of it, and a little man, you should have seen him, he looked absurd, was dancing about it in front, hopping on one leg and singing out, 'One more day and then she'll see the royal child belongs to me. Water, earth, and air and flame, Rumplestiltskin is my name.'" Well, you can imagine how pleased the queen was to hear that. When the little man came in, he was rubbing his hands together and hopping with glee and saying, "Now, milady, what's my name? Huh? Huh? Is it Tom? No, that's not my name. Is it Dick? No, that's not my name. Is it, let me see, Harry? No, that's not my name. Well, I wonder if it could be Rumplestiltskin? The devil told you that! The devil told you that!" The little man yelled, and in his fury he stamped his right foot so hard that he drove it into the ground right up to his waist. Then he took his hold of his left foot with both hands and tore himself in two. Who's Ian? Well, goodbye, Rumplestiltskin, huh? Let's see. I have reviewed the length of this third story. I don't think I'm going to be able to read it without causing more or any damage to my voice. So, thank you so much for being here. That was 2 stories, Snow White and Rumpelstiltskin. I'm so pleased. Those were fun to read. And even though I had no idea how I was going to come up with 7 different voices, apparently for Snow White I came up with like 12 different voices. So that was fun. But I think I'm going to end it for there. And thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that. I'm hopefully going to be doing more stories tomorrow. We'll see. And hope you all have a wonderful night. Saren, Andrina, Quill, who was here for a little bit, and anyone else who's here whom I didn't say hello to or didn't say hello to me. Oh, Ducks, and Lena Ray, and Lurks, and Violets. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. Hope you have a wonderful night. Good night.